my first like stepping on a fire scene, you do the beginning steps so many thousands of times in a fire academy, literally thousands of times, that you couldn't do it, you couldn't mess it up if you tried, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like taking a plug, or like going to the fire hydrant, getting water to the truck, or grabbing a hose line and taking it to the front door or wherever the fire is, wherever's appropriate, and going in. And then whenever you go in, you're not allowed to go in without someone. We have a rule 2 in, 2 out. So you never go anywhere alone. And usually especially if you're a booter, which is when you first get on, you have a captain who's next to you.
To press record, I will forget.
We talk for 30 minutes.
You talking, you're like, I didn't record that at all. That sucks. Yeah. So I just press record because I'm like, if I don't, I will totally forget. It's a bad habit of mine. Yeah. No. So when I first started doing this, what I didn't like was talking and hearing myself talk.
Yeah, like you're hearing it in like an echo.
Yeah, essentially like an echo, right?
But it's better than when you have it on your cell phone. It's like on your cell phone and you talk, and then like half a second later you hear your voice talk. So you're trying to say words, but you're hearing your words you said half a second ago.
Yeah. That's
you're almost pissed off, but you realize the voice that you're pissed off is your own voice. You're like, who is talking while I'm talking? Oh wait, I'm talking.
Well, I get more pissed off at the fact that I'm like, hey, I called you and this is happening and it's your fault. So like, hang up, call me back, let's fix it, because I don't want to hear my echo, because I'm just sitting there saying the words and I'm like, hello, and all I hear is hello back, and I'm like, yeah, it's I can't do this.
It's you, it's not me.
I can't maintain this as a conversation. So I totally hate it. So I told Aubrey when I first started, I was like, I don't know how long I'm going to do the whole headphones wearing and in like talking and then hearing myself, getting the feedback. I was like, I don't know how long I'm going to do this for. Because I was like, I can't. It's weird. It was very weird. The first 2 episodes, I was fighting through it.
Well, do like the pros do it, or quote pros?
Yeah, like Joe Rogan does it.
He has headset on the whole time.
Yeah, Joe Rogan, PBD, Timcast, and I just named all political podcasts that I listen to. I don't
tag sponsor.
I only listen to political podcasts. I don't listen to like any other podcasts. Like I'll just be honest with you. I barely have enough time to listen to all of their podcasts. So I don't have time, or I'm not interested in other podcasts things.
Well, you don't have to watch like everything they do. You could do like back and forth, like one day political, one day health. Like I'd listen to health podcasts, and it helps me
like Andrew Huberman.
Yeah, the Huberman. Yeah.
I like him, but like to hear him talk for 3 hours.
Well, he likes to hear himself talk, so I get annoyed by it.
Oh, I'm not the only one. Oh, thank God, man. Yeah. I was like, this guy likes to hear himself talk. He has to, because
he could just, like, someone said something and he wants to repeat it in his own medical vernacular so he can sound smart saying the same thing the other doctor said. I'm like, I just wasted 4 minutes listening to you re-explain the same thing.
But I'll be honest, he talks over people's heads a lot. And it's like, you're confusing people rather than actually helping them. So like, for example, I was listening to his on ADHD, the medication part. There was a medication aspect, but then there was also the aspect of what ADHD is and all that. But like those, essentially, there were 2 different episodes, but they talked about the same thing. And so like beginning of the medication podcast that he was doing or talking on, the first portion of that podcast was him explaining what ADHD is, the science behind ADHD, where it came from, and like cool-ish, I guess. But like, hey man, if I have ADHD already, like you explaining the science to me, sure, but like you're not the first doctor to explain the science to me. While I think that information can be useful, I don't think that you need to do it in the depth that you did, because these people are not doctors. They're just normal people just trying to understand what ADHD is, the side effects of taking medication, and whatever the case may be.
Yeah, but I like learning more in depth, and I think the more you learn about a concept, the better it sticks and the better you understand it. Like ADHD, like if I'm like, oh, I realized this is like some cell mediated issue or like some hormone issue or I don't know, whatever the thing is. Uh, it sticks in my brain better than I understand the whole process so that I don't get confused. But also, like, if I wanted like a base level Google search, the side effects of taking ADHD medication make you hyper, make you, whatever. It's just like, okay, that was, I want the podcast in the morning to go in depth. That's what I do on a podcast. Like, I want to learn from a podcast. Like, I want to feel like I'm almost in school, but it's like entertaining at the same time.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
Because like if I listen to your political podcast and they started talking about Speaker of the House and the different roles and the different pieces of government, I mean, sure, I've heard them, but I honestly don't understand how they all work together sometimes. So they'd start talking. Joe Rogan would start saying things like, I don't really know who this person is doing that. Like, I would need him to explain the process to me.
Okay, so let me be mean for a second. First and foremost.
What, I should know that?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. I say kind of because truthfully, like, they go over it when you're in you're a kid, but like in history class, but like they don't go over it in the depth in which they should go over it, because just now as most Americans are they can tell you who the Speaker of the House is and what the role of the Speaker of the House is, right? They can tell you who the Senate majority is, who the Senate minority is. They can tell you, what role the vice president plays and all of that, right? And so, like, whereas before most Americans could distinguish between the legislative branch and the judicial branch, right? And so, like, I do think, it's got better, but I will say we should know these things still.
Well, yeah, instead of learning about the Revolutionary War for 10 years straight.
Holy crap! Yes,
we should talk about that.
Like we get it. Americans didn't like the British, the king. The king got pissed off and said, "You're mine. I own you." And then we said, "Hey, come and try it." And then
taxation without representation. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. Like we get it, guys. Like there were the Boston Massacre, the Boston Tea Party. There were all these things that led up to the American Revolution, and we won, right? We only won because the French truthfully came and helped us out. But that being said, we got it. We won. We're America, United States. We got it. Explain how all this works. The founding fathers explained all of this. They had these talks. They were talking about it, and they did the thing. Explain that aspect to it. Don't explain to me, re-explain to me who John Adams was and what role he played in Paul Revere and all these things. Like, just like, go in more depth of like the actual functionality of the United States government and how it was intended originally from the founding fathers. That is what I think when it comes, especially when it comes to education. We are definitely behind on a lot of aspects of our education.
Yeah, one thing that's cool though, my little nephew just told me, he said that he has an entrepreneurship class, which I had like a money management class, but we just like work with little worksheets and numbers. But he said one of his school projects that he had to do was go start a business and like make money doing it. And so him and his friends went out and like started cleaning trash cans, like people's trash cans they put out for the garbage.
Yeah.
And he made like $300, he said. And he's like, yeah, so I'm still, the project's over, but I'm still doing it with my friend. And I was like, that is such a good class. And that is such a good project that actually is like, you now put this into practical life, which everyone complains about, we do school, but nothing's practical. When am I going to learn math? I don't know. I thought it was really cool to be like,
that's phenomenal.
Oh, this is at least new to me, maybe not new to everybody else, but new to me. And when I was in school, because if I had that class, I would take, and I took money management. It's the best I had. And it was really cool to see him push to start a business. And then he realize, oh, I just started a business. I am 15 years old and I just made $300 from doing something around my neighborhood with minimal resources.
I hope he does his taxes.
I think $6,000.
No.
$6,000 taxes.
600.
Are you sure?
600.
All right, I'll take your word for it. You're the businessman here.
Well, hold on. I think the 600 might be related to stocks, but you still need. I guess I don't know the tax law pertaining to, because he is a minor, so he can't. I don't know if he can legally file himself because he's a minor. He can have the business. The business may be under his name and his information, but like tax law can they legally tax? Is it they could tax profits, or are they tax? Does being a minor have a play in that? Because he can't. How could he? There's a lot of questions flowing through my brain right now, which I don't know the answer to, so I will go into depth.
See, like in your head, you have like 20 questions, and you're trying to say them as fast as you're thinking them, and I don't know the answers to probably any of those questions.
Yeah, well, I get like for example, my first question would be: is like he is a minor, so he doesn't file taxes. However, because he has a business, can he file his own taxes, and how would he file? Right, and then that being the case, there's tax benefits when you have your own business or business, right? So, for such as my office right here. This square foot of this office is a tax deductible for me and my business because my business operates out of here. Purchasing my laptop and using my laptop, my Wi-Fi, my phone bill.
Yeah, tax.
All these things go to that, right? However, for a minor, how does that apply? How is it applicable if the funds for those things are coming from his parents? So that's where my head goes, because I'm like,
you're gonna get the IRS knocking on my nephew's door.
Well, I mean, you put his business out there, not me, so it's your fault.
It's his name.
We know where you are. We're going to find you. And I say we because now I am a part of the IRS, apparently, so we will find you, and we will take your money that you owe us.
Certainly entry-level part of the IRS.
I just started. It's a new thing.
First day.
It's a new thing. We're figuring it out. I still don't know all the rules, but we'll figure it out. You are a firefighter in a location that I'm going to say.
No, it's not necessary. Many of my opinions that I say do not represent my department.
Yes, they do. 100%. He's the speaker of the fire department in Los Angeles County. So why did you could have just gone with it, you know? It would have never known. It's fine. All right, fine. Forgive me. It's San Francisco, guys. San Francisco. You got me.
Thank you for correcting that.
So you were telling me this interesting story. Look, okay, let me ask you this question. So in the military, you know this because you're in the reserves. We have some like dark humor conversations at times, right? Like, and they're funny. Their intent is to be funny. It's not to be like, we're like, hey, this is really morbid, right?
Yeah, just like comedic relief to a stressful situation.
So yes, as firefighters, though, or do you guys do that? Is that similar? Is there like a similar thing, or you're not making fun of the victims of what happened that you went and saved, right? But is a sense of like, so it's like crazy what happened and whatever the case might be?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we have comedic relief. Like what we have headphones like this in the truck, and we're able to just have like a private conversations with the 4 guys who just experienced the same thing you experienced. Where you go back and you sit at the kitchen table and you can talk. And we took everything seriously. Like what we do, you know, is it's a lot of people's, you know, hardest, scariest day of their lives. They're calling 911. Like how many times have you called 911? Maybe once, you know, the average
times, but yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, you're calling because you're like, I am totally out-resourced. I don't know how to handle this situation, relatively speaking, and I need help right now. Right. So that's why you dial 911. So when we show up to people's homes, like it's extremely stressful, and usually it's an unfortunate event or scenario, whether they're sick, hurt, accident, obviously fire, anything like that. So if we were taking everything seriously every single day,
yeah,
you know, we would be totally burnt. We would have no empathy or emotional capacity for the patient if we were so caught up in taking everything so seriously and you know, processing everything with such like a heavy emotional load.
Yeah,
because it is. But the way to get around that, yeah, is we talk amongst ourselves privately. Would never, say. It's not that we say something bad. It's that we don't want to say something that someone could misinterpret as
100%.
You know, being, you know, we never want to offend anyone or anything like that. But yeah, we do have comedic relief about situations. You know, just like, can you believe that happened, or this or that, or one of the biggest things, we'll make fun of each other. You know, like, oh, you
do you really?
Yeah, like you know, it's hard to say like an exact example, but if someone just does something wrong, let's say on a fire, you know, like I stepped out of the truck the other day, and it's not my first day on the job, but you know, I'm still a newer guy, but I had my pack as a waist strap, and my seatbelt was inside my waist strap. So I stepped out of the truck and I went, and I'm like, couldn't leave the truck. And the engine pulled up first, which I was in, and then the ladder truck behind us pulled up after. So these guys are pulling up, watching me tangled into my seatbelt trying to get out of the truck. And it was funny, and, you know, made jokes about it. And if the house was on fire, and luckily it wasn't. So, but it's still kind of throughout the day there's stress. So it doesn't always have to be about the exact situation, but just being able to joke around and provide something to laugh at, usually ourselves or each other. It's definitely helpful in those situations, which allows us then to have a greater emotional capacity for the patient or
the people you're helping.
Yeah.
So when you first hey, I got the job, I'm a firefighter now, and you get to your fire station that you're at, and they get that first call, was it like a holy crap, it's happening, this is happening? Like, and I don't even know what the first call was. Was it like a, oh crap, this is happening, I don't know if I'm prepared for this, but it's happening and I gotta go?
Yeah, like the first call on the job?
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't remember the first call on the job, but that's because I was afforded the opportunity to become a EMT on the ambulance for a fire department, but as a civilian before that in
that's right,
different city.
Yeah.
So I kind of got soft launched into it. Because as an EMT driver, in all reality, as part of the like emergency fire service, you don't really do anything. I show up, I listen to the 4 men and women who are already there working, more experienced than me, and usually they just say, hey, help me lift this patient, help me lift this or that, and then I grab the gurney, put them in, and then I don't sit in the back seat of the compartment of the ambulance. I drive it. And so realistically, I had seen a ton of calls, but I hadn't had to do too much. So I mean, there was some times that I got really involved, and some times where I, during some codes where someone was dead, I obviously all hands on deck. Some car accidents where we had multiple patients, all hands on deck. But so when I got into the fire service, though, or when I became a fireman for a different city, I kind of already had exposure. So I wouldn't say that I wasn't nervous, because I know I was, but it was a lot different. I was a little more versed. I kind of knew, okay, breathe, ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation, okay, make sure they're okay, kind of thing. And the great thing about the fire service, and that I knew I could do, is we lean on each other. We have 4 men, it's not walking in by yourself, and no guy is ever there to make anyone look bad or to hurt anyone. Every guy is there to make the next guy better, help each other out. So as an EMT, so every fire truck, there's 2 EMTs and there's 2 paramedics. At least in my city.
Are they all EMT certified, but like you're specifically in EMT?
The way it works is EMT is like lower level of paramedic. Like you become an EMT, then you become a paramedic.
Right, but I guess are all fire to be a firefighter? I guess I don't know if it's state dependent.
In the state of Arizona, you have to be EMT certified.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have 2 EMTs, lower level, BLS, basic life support. And then we have 2 advanced life supports, which are paramedics.
Oh, okay.
Each truck. So when I first started, I was an EMT. So I knew I had the more experienced guy, because you have a backseat mentor. So they put a more seasoned firefighter next to you. And then you have the captain and the engineer. Oh, in my position, the captain and the engineer were the paramedics. And I had those 2 paramedics. So I had one guy who was basically like, big brothering me. And then I had 2 paramedics who were obviously a lot more knowledge as far as the medical port goes. So I knew that they had my back. And as far as like the fire thing goes, it's kind of intense and it's loud, but my first like stepping on a fire scene, you do the beginning steps so many thousands of times in a fire academy, literally thousands of times, that you couldn't do it, you couldn't mess it up if you tried, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like taking a plug, or like going to the fire hydrant, getting water to the truck, or grabbing a hose line and taking it to the front door or wherever the fire is, wherever's appropriate, and going in. And then whenever you go in, you're not allowed to go in without someone. We have a rule 2 in, 2 out. So you never go anywhere alone. And usually especially if you're a booter, which is when you first get on, you have a captain who's next to you when you go in. So the captain's
booter?
As a booter, and general rule is the captain's going to go in.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah. Engineer stays out, captain's going in. So as the booter, you're gonna be on the nozzle. You're gonna be the first guy, but then your captain is gonna be literally on your back, saying, "Okay, we're ready, let's go." So the whole time, again, you kind of have a support system, which is what you're there to alleviate the emergency, not make the emergency worse. And so we pre-plan 8 levels deep, to where if this fails, we have this. If this fails, we have this. So if I fail, I have a captain. Or a senior firefighter fails, he has a captain. If captain fails, there's a chief on scene. So, or in multiple engine companies.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, it was kind of like when you stop, I would always stop, definitely on the way to a call, I would be thinking about it, like, okay, let me prep for this, let me think about this, but I always knew, okay, I have a lot of support. So
That's dope. I mean, because as you know, the Army, with like the repetitions, the amount of repetitions they have you go through of just doing certain things. Like I immediately think of the diamond washer drill, and like how many times do that stupid diamond washer drill. Like I hate the diamond washer drill. I understand the point of it and how effective it could be, but I hate the diamond washer drill so much. And so like it was to the point where, going to the M4 or shooting the M4 and fire and going to the range to shoot, steady position wasn't a problem. It was, and breathing wasn't a problem. It was more trigger squeeze, for me, because, obviously there's an actual recoil now when it comes to trigger squeeze. And so in sight picture, right? So like, that's like, those are two things, again, it could totally controllable, but those are the things that I was having issues with, when I first started shooting them for, but I get it. It's just the point to the point of where you just do it constantly, repetition, where it's like, I don't know how anybody could get it wrong. We've done this, like you said, thousands of times. Like, it just, when it's real, it's just kind of like, is this real or is this another test? You know what I mean? Like, Like, obviously it is real, right? But like, it can feel like, it start to feel like, is like, am I being tested right now? Like, is this their way of saying like, hey, we're going to test you guys, see if you can prepare for it. But then next thing you know, you're like, oh, I've been prepared. I am prepared. And,
yeah, I would say that, training is different. And I'm not saying you're saying this, but separately, like, training is different than training under stress. Yeah, that's important to train under stress. Like in the academy, you have what essentially would be comparable to drill sergeants.
Yeah.
Creating an intense environment. You have other.
Do they yell at you like drill sergeants?
Yeah. I would say not to the extent, no. But they do yell at you, and they do create a stressful environment for you. Test you mentally, for sure.
Got you.
But I did have a staff sergeant who said, so I met him on deployment, and he was my squad leader at one time, and he's like, the little things matter, trying to teach us a lesson, this and that. We're cleaning up trash in the parking lot. And he was like, whenever you think something's going to hit the fan, it's just going to hit the fan. You're not going to become a hero like you think you're going to be. You're going to fall to your lowest level of training, like your basic level of training.
Yeah.
So he's like, we need to train 1,000 times and get every detail right and not miss the little things, because when you get stressed, which is totally true, when you get stressed and something's happening, you're going to fall to that thing you've done 1,000 times. You're not going to be the cool guy doing all the tricks.
Doing all the new things that you've seen done before, and you're like, oh, I know how to do this.
Yeah, like we'll try some cool like hose pull off the truck. Like, you pull this loop, I pull this loop, we do this and that. And people have done it 1,000 times at 20 years on, or different things. Yeah, they do it. But for me, I learned it 2 days ago. When that fire comes out, I am not thinking about that. That never crossed me. I'm doing the thing I did 1,000 times in the academy, and that's all I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for you, but for other new booters, as you call them, have you seen them, or did they kind of confess in their to you, like, hey, that was a lot more nerve-wracking, or that was a lot that stressful than I imagined it was going to be? Or does everybody kind of seem like, hey, I understand, I have an understanding of what I'm getting myself into, and I'm going to do my best and trust my training and trust the people around me. And so it doesn't seem like there are people who are like just completely flopping.
I would say, like, a short answer is, yeah, everyone did well and was prepared. But, I think the fire departments have usually a pretty rigorous testing process to weed out, or I would say to get very good candidates. So a lot of the guys were mentally ready. They had prepared a lot, done a lot of ride-alongs, preparations, got exposed to the fire department a lot as part of their hiring process, preparing to try to be a good candidate. So a lot of guys were pretty just squared away anyway. But I will say that for myself and for some of the guys too, what we realized is, you go in the academy and it's definitely like a controlled environment still. When you're on a fire scene, not only the fire itself, but you have all the engines and chiefs and even spectators. Like, it's loud. That's the biggest thing. It's loud. There's so much noise. You literally can't hear someone like this here and here. We're talking, we're kind of yelling. Adrenaline's pumping, fire's going. This guy's talking to this guy. The radio is, people are talking. You're trying to figure out what your sector is. Like, Definitely like the whole slow it down, stay cool. You know,
It's a lot to take in.
yeah, slow is smooth, smooth is fast kind of thing.
Yeah.
You definitely gotta like tell yourself that, at least as a newer guy for sure, which I still am. Okay, you know, slow it down. Where am I going? Where I'm at? Because there's a lot going on, and it is mentally and actually very loud, very, very loud. So
That's, I guess I would never, I understand it was loud, but I guess as it's going on, it just being loud and
yeah, it's not something.
almost like a controlled chaos. Like,
I wouldn't even call it controlled. I would just call it chaos. I just call it chaos.
Just got so many things going
I
on.
would like to sit here and be like, yeah, we got it totally under control, but no, it's just chaos. And then you realize when you're walking out, you're like, how did that tool end up over there? What's that guy doing? You know, you're like, you don't say anything. You're kind of thinking, what just happened? You know, in some.
But it's like everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing, and it's just kind of like we're doing the thing until someone tells us otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
That's beautiful. The Army wants to work that way, but
yeah, no, I'd say the civilian emergency sector is definitely more efficient.
They're very hard-headed and wanting to work that way, but they're not very efficient in a lot of things. I tell people all the time, the Army is very, very. They thrive. We thrive in a lot of things, but then it's just chaos in a lot of other areas that people would think like, oh my gosh, no, the Army has it down packed, and you're like, no. But for our foreign adversaries, we have everything down packed. We are prepared for anything. Well, I mean, we are, but like, you know, you get what I'm saying.
Well, to me, I was just kind of like the simplest analogy I have for when people perceive, at least my experience in the military, what people perceive the military as for what it is when they go, hey, this thing is military grade. And people are like, wow, I want the military grade one. I'm like, that's really the last one. Actually, I'd rather not just have it.
Don't give it
it's going to break on me and put me in a worse position. I'd rather mentally know that I just don't have it.
You're like, I know how it works. However, I don't want it. Like, I'm good. Like, what's that? I'll take that thing. I don't care who made it. The military is not military grade. Cool. I'm going to trust this equipment more than that thing. Right? Like, it kills me. They're like military grade. I'm like, you don't want that. Are you kidding me? You know, see, for all my service members, CIF sucks. They live to make our lives miserable, and they give us the crappy equipment, dirty equipment, and then they say, hey, turn this back in, and you're like, I'm sorry, I can't turn this. They won't take it because they're like, it's dirty, and it's like, this is how you gave it to me. I literally didn't use it.
Well, you're right. It is terrible, but I will say my staff sergeant showed me a cheat code for that. He brought his power washer to drill, and we power washed all our IOTVs. Those things were so clean. I was like, that was magic. We just power washed it.
Really?
That's a good idea.
Power washing everything.
CIF gear.
They're going to take that nonsense. But anyway, guys, that's all we got. Appreciate you joining us. I didn't say it in the beginning because, you know, he was hesitant to get on here, but this is my birthday gift to me from him. So that being said, I will say it now. Being mediocre is a choice, and you have to refuse to be mediocre every single day. That's all I got for you guys. Mediocre Dad's out.
Thanks for having me.
And no, you suck.